Hey, good afternoon, Jake. Hey, just you guys got your fifth overtime win the other night, and you're 2-0 in shootouts compared to last year when you were 0-7. So just how gratifying is to be coming out of these OTs and these shootouts with 2 points as opposed to last year when you really struggled in these situations?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's huge. It's one of those things where, it's you always want to get the extra point, especially when you go in those situations. Like you said, we really haven't had much luck in that category, I guess, from as early as last year. So, obviously we have gotten some good bounces go our way, some big saves, and it's one of those things that we obviously don't necessarily always want to go in overtime, but when we do, we want the extra point.
Try Matt Porter next.
When you were drafted, Brad Marchand was just kind of coming into his own as an elite winger in the league, and so he's kind of been in that space in the Bruins organization, as one of the top guys really for your whole run here. I'm curious from your perspective how you've seen him kind of evolve. Like how much better has he become, over the last 5-6 years?
Yeah, I think just little things. Honestly, I think that like you said, he was pretty elite when I first came in. I mean, obviously he's a top line, left winger for our team, and one of those guys that they wanted me to be more like in certain senses. And I think there's only one Brad Marchand out there, obviously, with some of his chirps and things like that. But his overall intensity and his work ethic, I think, is the reason why he continues to, dominate. He always puts up points and he always puts up numbers, and there's a reason for that. And also was here for his 100-point season. That season, he was, pretty special. He was just seems like he's always on top of pucks. His puck control, with his body is insane. His little moves that he makes, and just a heady player. He really is. He's got, more defensive qualities than people give him credit for. I think sometimes he gets caught maybe on the wrong side of the puck, but it's usually because he's making the right read. If that makes any sense, it's one of those things where the puck follows him, and very lucky to learn off someone like that. He a pretty good relationship. He likes to give it to me sometimes here and there, but it seems like I need it.
Sophia Yurchevich.
Hi, Jake. I feel like Brad Marchand likes to give it to a lot of people sometimes too. All right. For my question. Bruce Cassidy was just saying that he's, going to fill out the third line. Obviously, you have options on the team, which is great for him, but he wants to feel things out and see how long he'll keep certain combinations together. As for you, if you are going to play with Charlie a bit more long-term, what do you like about playing with him? I know you like playing with Kretsch too, but just any differences there, and how do you enjoy that? How does it help your game? Thank you.
Yeah, there's definitely is differences. Obviously, Kretsch, is a great player in his own right, and that's where I've been pretty much posted up for the last 2 years or 3, I guess. And it's one of those things where there's obviously been lots of line changing and different people coming in and out, right? So, things happen out there, and I played with CC a bit. With Kretsch actually, and with Bjorky. That's one thing that has been kind of interesting about this line is we haven't necessarily played as a trio together, but I played with them in spurts, with Kretsch with that, with the right side, right? So it's one of those things where with CC, the biggest thing I noticed is obviously he's a puck possession demon, and he's one of those guys that likes to hold on to the puck and makes plays down low. He's really strong on it, and what I've noticed, I guess as early as last game is just kind of how he pushed the pace forward. He's one of those guys that's straight line, more kind of like my style in a way. And obviously it was a good game for us. We want to keep that going. Things might change, vice versa, but it's one of those things where I found that he was giving me lots of looks and pushing the pace to go to the net, and it was just a matter of me just finding the net. There's some. I think I had 7 shots and 14 attempts, so I got to make sure those attempts kind of come to more shots. There's a couple that are blocked, but I got to reward him for giving me time and space out there and continue to build.
I was just going to say about your shots. When you're with him, something that I think Bruce has been driving for Charlie, and he said himself that like he really wants him to shoot more, but he's such a pass first guy and does that a lot. So when you're playing with him, either do you guys discuss it, or do you just know that like, listen, I'm going to be the one shooting. I'm going to take a little bit more of that opportunity to do that. Is that something that goes through your mind?
I would say yeah. I would say yeah for sure. I mean, there's not necessarily something that we talk about, but I would say Bruce probably says the same thing about me. To be honest with you, I almost doubled my shot totals. So, it's one of those things coming back. I haven't scored this year yet, so I tried. I pretty much threw everything I could at the net. Obviously, you want to still make plays. I'm not tunnel vision in the sense. You want to make the right hockey play, but I feel like it's a pretty decent option if I'm moving and skating and shooting and getting into those areas. That's how you're going to score. That's how goal scorers score, right? So, kind of forcing the issue in that sense is, you're not going to get those many looks or force that many shots, I guess, that every single game. But it's about the preparation and the mindset going into it. I knew I was going to have. I was aiming for 2 a period. I was aiming for 6, and I got 7. So, that's kind of my mentality moving forward for the rest of the year until at least one goes in. Got one taken away from me, but it's a game of inches.
All right. Thanks. Good stuff. Thank you.
Chris Gasper, go ahead.
Hey, Jake, how you doing?
What's going on?
So the governor of New York said they're going to start allowing fans at their games starting February 23rd. I'm just sort of curious, what kind of difference does it make in the rink and in the game when you have the fans, and how much would it mean to you guys to be able to play in front of Bruins fans again in the near future?
It would mean everything. I think that we all could agree on that. I think that obviously, that's exciting. It's one of those things where with COVID and everything going on and other teams dealing with it already and things, it's kind of hard to get hopeful for things like that. But, it's one of those things that you use. I didn't understand how much the crowd, even on the road, but especially at home, really kind of gets you going and kind of gets you into the game. It's something that I think we all had to adjust to in the bubble as early as last year. But even still, it's one of those things where you have to really prepare yourself to play. You have to really mentally get yourself there, force the issue on the sense of, they have crowd noise now, which is a little bit nice, but there's nothing better than hearing the TD Garden going when you score a goal. I miss that. I would love that. Obviously, hopefully there's protocols and things for the fans to be safe in there. It's obviously the biggest concern. And then from there, just be as loud as you can. You watch on, TV, the NFL and different, stadiums, especially in the playoffs, there are fans, and it felt weird to see. It's one of those things where times are crazy, but I would love it. I miss it so much.
Dan Roach, go ahead.
Just a thought on that, Jake. Just a quick follow up. I had another question, but just have you always been a fan guy? Like, does that kind of get you that extra adrenaline pump, and do you use that to your advantage over the course of your career? The louder the building is, the more fun it is for you, and maybe the more aggressive and everything else that you are.
For sure, it brings out the best in me. I think it brings out the best in a lot of guys. Honestly, I mean, it's one of those things where I've been in buildings where the crowd's going nuts. I mean, I've been booed in the building too, so there's a little bit of different vibes kind of brings to the whole game. Like you said, the aggressiveness and just the the battle ready kind of test you for that. Especially in playoff time, but anytime that you score a big goal or the TD Garden's bumping, the momentum comes our way. You can feel it, and it's hard to gain momentum in these games. It's one of those things where you try to stay consistent more than anything. But I mean, honestly, I didn't really realize it until the bubble. I didn't totally understand. I honestly took it for granted in a way. It's one of those things where didn't think that would ever be taken away. But having no one in there was it was a little bit of a different experience, I think, for everybody involved, but especially myself. I didn't realize how much I, like you said, use the crowd.
Speaking of aggressive, did you appreciate your goaltender's aggressive attitude and try to win the game and coming out of the game early for the extra skater in a 2-2 game?
That was unbelievable. That was awesome. I didn't know what was going on either until our bench started going nuts. And, to be honest with you, we weren't really in that game without Tuukka. He played amazing. He was our number one star for sure. So he definitely backed it up even before that. But, sometimes it's confusing. It's quiet out there. You don't necessarily know what's going on. And thankfully there wasn't crowd in the, to be honest with you, or else it probably wouldn't hurt us. And, maybe something would have happened there, but we got a chuckle out of it, and honestly, we got the win, and he was the biggest reason why.
Thank you.
Go next to Kevin Dupont.
Jake, just to go back on your 14 attempts last night, I wouldn't expect you to have a hard number in mind here, but I'm wondering, when you go into a game thinking, I'm gonna shoot as much as possible tonight, would you say you got twice as many attempts than you normally would have taken last night, or is it just situational that the shot is there, you take it? How much does awareness lead to the shot?
It can work both ways. I've had lots of games over my career, even this year, where I'm like, I'm going to shoot everything, and the pucks just don't come your way, or something. Just the game is situational. I'd say to answer that. Yeah, it is situational, and also how your mindset is when you're on the ice. You can think that way, but once you get in there, I actually had, I think, my first shot attempt of the game, I actually was slow. I was delayed. I was trying to find a play, trying to find a late guy. I think it was Jeremy coming in the zone, and then I kind of shot it, and I kind of muffed it, to be honest with you, and they caught it out, and I was like, that's not happening again. I was like, I'm just going to force everything. Obviously want to make the right plays and want to get shots on net to generate breakdowns and recoveries for our line. But the key was to score. It's been my first game in a bit, and this is my 7th game. I thought that my game was leading up to this, to be honest with you, even before. Technically I give myself 6 games because I hurt myself early, but I had I came back pretty hard. I came back ready for the game.
And there's got to be a dynamic here too, which is when one guy is intent on shooting, as you were last night, it changes the dynamic of the line, does it not?
For sure. You know where it's going. And honestly, it seems like it finds you more. And, it seems like the other team kind of reads off it too, if that makes any sense. They're kind of not as set in their situations. And, it's one of those things where I think that we read well off each other. And, I think Bjork got a couple looks, even scored. So, I mean, it's not, like I said earlier, I wasn't just going in there thinking I'm not going to pass to anybody. It was just after that one play, I was not going to have that happen again and try to get more to the inside, try to force it. Obviously want to get in the board. I haven't gotten the board yet this year. So I honestly gave it my best effort and didn't mind the way that we played at all. And I want to keep doing that, if not just build on it. Because I think that with those matchups that we get in that third line, I have never really had that. So this is kind of one of those areas where I want to keep the line together. And if it means that I have to push the pace in that aspect, I'm totally down to do that.
Great. Thanks, Jake.
Last question for Jake. Joe Haggerty.
Hey, Jake, I know you tend to be on the receiving end of the chirps rather than giving them out with the guys, but do you store a couple of chirps away for Tukes now after he forgot the score of the game?
No, not really. I mean, Tuukka's not a guy I really chirp that much. He doesn't really chirp me, so it's kind of an even thing. But I think that we're pretty good. So I there's no reason to chirp it, just more so funny. You know what I mean? Like there's videos and stuff like that, and guys kind of as a group kind of give it to him a little bit. But I mean, hey, he, like I said earlier, that we're not in that game if it wasn't for Tuukka. He made about 3 great A's. That one off Zibanejad was insane. And but yeah, I mean, no, I me and Tuukka are good.
I know you're a pretty honest guy too, and you tell us exactly what you're thinking. Was that a goal or not a goal last night? After you're looking at the reviews, what do you think?
For me?
Yes.
No, that wasn't a goal. And to be honest with you, if you follow my career, I get at least 1 or 2 disallowed at the beginning of the year. So it was kind of a deja vu. I looked at it. I had no clue what was going on. I didn't even sell it because I didn't understand what was going on in the play. And then I heard the bench say it was a goal. So I got super pumped up, obviously excited, but he did a flyby. And then as I'm watching, I'm like, yeah, I don't see any white. There's obviously different angles and different ways you can look at it. And we believed it was a goal, and I'm just going to go with what the call was on the ice, to be honest with you. But like I said, this happens to me pretty consistently. Usually it's the beginning of years where it's a goaltender interference, it's an offside, it's something like that where it gets taken away from me. But that just kind of makes me more angry. So it's perfect.
Always honest. Appreciate it, Jake.